Casey is not here. Pat's here, Donna's here, Kathy, Coda, Robin, John Kisco's on Zoom, Ellen is here, Sue F is here, Brian is here, Amy's here, Singer's here, Karen is here, David is here, Sharon and Paul are here, Lynn is here, Allison is here, and Karen is here. Have a motion to approve the agenda. So, Pat, have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Next one, you have the minutes of yes, July 14th. Have a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Move it on. Second, Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public participation. I won't read the whole thing. Does anybody from the public want to speak? Okay, yes.
Oh, right here.
No, she's here.
Where do I speak from? Where do
Any, up there, wherever.
I can be heard from wherever, I guess.
Just give your name and
Hi, I'm Jeff Putnam from 132 Fairlawn Drive, Torrington, Connecticut. I know most of you guys wanted to start out quick with just a quick thank you. I was a part of Vote Yes. We spent all that time with a bunch of you trying to get this project passed, and hats off to the rest of you. Our job was over in November, and you guys have spent countless hours on this project. We really appreciate all of your efforts. Couldn't do it without you. So that being said, I've been a little bit uninvolved in the project, and that's some of my own fault, missing some of the meetings, not being here, not getting to see what's going on. But we get some phone calls about the whole separation of middle school and high school, and I didn't know all the answers. So I started looking, started watching some of the meetings, catching some of the meeting minutes. I had a couple questions for you. This could be my own ignorance, not knowing the answers. They could have already been decided. But we told the public, hey, we're going to keep 7th and 8th totally separate from 9 through 12, which is great. That's what they all voted on. But I've heard and seen some of the documents, some of the drawings. Maybe they're old versions, and shame on me if they are. But it looks like over by the cafeteria, there's a discussion about a wall and a hallway and things like that. And it doesn't seem like we've headed in the direction of a totally separate experience. That totally separate experience is what we promised these voters. We worked very hard to get those votes, and the town overwhelmingly approved this project. I fear that if we don't stick to those promises, we will not see that happen again the next time we do a large-scale project like this. So I saw the numbers, and again, excuse me if I'm wrong, it was about $700,000 or $800,000 to save by getting rid of one of those hallways and making it a shared area. And some of the solutions seem to be staffing or security pairs or security folks. I implore you, please do not save a capital expense and replace it with labor. We have such a hard budget season every year. The first thing we cut are, I mean, not say first, but you see pairs go, you see discussions about security. They cut us every year, guys. It would seem to me foolish and to tell the taxpayers to cut a one-time expense that solves this problem. And I know that it may be beautiful concrete, curved walls, straight walls. I've heard it all on social media. And again, my fault for not being here to hear it right at the meetings. But please, don't swap out a one-time expense for an ongoing expense. The city will have our heads for it. We all know this. It comes budget time. If it's $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, this building we've told everybody is a 40 or 50-year building. That number catches up in a hurry. And for the sake of the kids, this is the design time. So all of you who know how to do this stuff, amazing. I don't. So I leave it in your hands. You guys have been great so far. But please, when it comes time to make those decisions, let's find somewhere else to save the money. I never want to trade what we've told the public and a one-time expense for something that requires people to do. We're all fallible. It can happen. You know, us watching somebody in the hallway, we don't know how old somebody is necessarily. It's hard to do. It relies on people. And I hope that we all make the decisions here, what you guys have done to date, in the best interest of the community and our students. So I'm happy to start rejoining some of the meetings. Some of us from Vote Yes are going to start coming now and then to just kind of stay in a better position. We have a lot of times people that ask questions and we don't know the answer. So we feel kind of bad about that. And we want to try and get a little bit more involved and understand what's going on.
If you have any questions, you can email Mario or myself.
Okay.
We rather you say to the chairman, both chairs, because we can answer it. Things have gone around. We've settled all those problems. You don't have to worry about it. We had a big discussion last month on it, and we've taken care of it. It's in the new drawing.
There's no crossing at the cafeteria.
No crossing.
There's no crossing at the gym.
Excellent.
There's no crossing at the lunchroom. There's no crossing.
There's no crossing.
Like I said at the beginning, it was very possible all these problems have been presented, solved, and moved on from, but you know,
We just want to have, if there is a question, send it to Mario or myself. There was somebody sent the question to Mario yesterday. He answered it. He showed her the document. Well done.
another possibility is maybe, I mean, back when we did Vote Yes, we had an army of social media people, some of them sitting at the table, who were great about squashing these kinds of rumors and things that weren't correct. We don't have that anymore. So a lot of the things, especially around.
Well,
To be fair, I'm not even, I am not even hearing these rumors. So they can't be addressed unless somebody reaches out and asks, hey, this is what I heard. Is this true? This plan changes every day,
I was gonna say, probably every few days.
Oh, no, what,
every day,
multiple times a day.
every day. So whatever you may have heard, for the July meeting, right, is way obsolete.
Oh, I'm sure. But that's what I'm trying to say is that how do we figure out how to better communicate that to the public? And it's hard because, they people will complain, then they're not here to listen to
I
it.
think if you guys want to better educate the public, reactivate that whole social media machine we had going and tell them to zoom in on these meetings.
Yeah, and absolutely. But that's what I'm hoping we can figure, maybe some updates, or if we're here more often, we'll get a better idea of what's going on. It needs to be a partnership. Of
all you have
course.
to do is write to Mario and I, and we can send you that information.
We're very cognizant of that whole situation.
And the building committee is very cognizant, and we discussed it on ours last time. The architects are great. They solved the problem for us. We agreed on it. It's in the drawings now.
Yeah, and I must tell you, architects, and this message that you were saying was conveyed to us from the very beginning. So every meeting is mentioned over and over so it's been taken care of from the beginning.
I'm
And I
excellent.
think you're just going to more secure spot where I think you will be happy with what you're seeing.
Oh, I'm sure. There's a plenty of smart minds in the room. It's never a concern. I have a lot of respect for you guys. You all know that, having worked with me before. I just felt we needed to at least have the discussion. Like I said,
No problem.
it's been solved between the time I last saw a meeting minute and now, and that's great. I do have one last thing. I've got to put my Emily Putnam from 132 Fairlawn hat on. My daughter had a message for the committee. She would like to see a vote or a survey about the color of the school so that it does not end up boring. So I will end my public comment on that note.
You say we have the colors of the school.
Oh, perfect. Mario, she doesn't like that. We're gonna have some trouble here.
I'll let you know that it's not gonna be Aram blue.
You promise?
Okay?
I don't care if we get a good deal on it.
Get out, Aram.
Well, thank you all very much again for your time and effort, and I look forward to getting more caught up.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay. Any other public comments? Okay. Architect,
Okay.
you have the colors. It's in your handout that I gave you. It's probably the last part of it. Shows you all of the, is that where you're going over the
We'll be going over the exterior
exterior,
renderings.
right?
We'll flip to Julia's computer where she will share on the screen an animation, kind of like a drone flying around the building. So you can see it from all angles. It's not just the static pictures that you have. We have updated a couple of, or added a couple of renderings to the packet that you received, which I sent to Ed on Tuesday. But I'll start with the floor plans, and so let's just share my screens.
But you have the floor plans, 11 by 17.
little delayed. There, okay. So, first I'll go through the site plan. We had a very productive meeting with Mario, Ed, and your athletic director. We have worked with him. This is now our at least third time since schematic design, I think, that we've talked about the field's layout. So we've made some progress on that. And so I'll share with you that progress.
All the members have a copy of this.
Okay, great. So as a reminder, the Major Bessie Drive entrance will remain the same. As far as location, will come in. There is going to be a repaving and additional parking spaces gained in the parking lot here, which will be shared still with the park. And then there will be a turn that brings you to the bus loop and some parking on this side of the building, or to the parent loop, which there's for parent drop off and some visitor parking spaces here. So again, parent drop off in this smaller loop, bus drop off will come around here in this nice large loop so that they can really stack and have plenty of space. And then of course there's access through Daily Drive. We've discussed that at other meetings. That will be a controlled entrance with a gate on a timer and on a card reader for emergency access. And buses might come in through there to get to the loop, those that are on that side of town. There is a grade change as you have today. You know that the parking lot is a little lower than the back side of the building and where the fields are. So this area and including the parking lot is lower than the fields area. Right at this time, we're keeping the JV baseball in its same location. And this is in a lighter color because there's an add alternate to the project to make the multi-purpose field. And because it overlaps with JV baseball, the outfield of JV baseball as artificial turf. So if there's additional monies left in the project, that will go to artificial turf. Base bid will be natural turf, which is what all the rest of the fields are in this diagram. The other add alternate to the project is 2 tennis courts at this end, closest to the multipurpose field. There will be 4 tennis courts in the base bid for the project, and then those other 2, if budget allows at the time of bid day. Varsity baseball is in this location. Varsity softball is in this location, and an additional JV softball or practice field here. I believe, and Mario can describe this, but the baseball team will still primarily play their games at a field in town,
Fuchsia's Park, yeah.
Fuchsia's Park. This is going to be their practice field and occasional games. And then of course your premier current field will remain in place. Question?
And due to the change in the elevation between the lower parking lot and the athletic fields, I know access to the football field, I believe, was to the left. They had a gate which allowed an ambulance access to the field in case of an injury. Is that taken into account here somewhere?
It is, and so there will be all of these gray lines indicate sidewalk, which is 10 feet wide enough for ambulance access, also for golf carts, which is usually how the athletic trainers get to the fields real quick. And so that is provided for all the fields, including your existing fields, yes. There is a, because of that grade change, there's a retaining wall planned for this location and ramps and stairs that lead basically to the corner, the home field side corner of your football field for access. And then we've added parking, curving around the Daily Drive, which I think will also provide some nice additional parking during games and when needed during the school day. Any other questions about the current site plan?
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you just explain how, so if the kids are parking, say down here,
Yes,
where's like the walkway and how does that, what does that look like?
great question. We are going to provide a fence line so that students will be forced to come out to a crosswalk.
Okay.
Because we don't want everyone just kind of crossing diagonally wherever they want, wherever they park.
Mhm.
So we will force everyone to come to a crosswalk and then to a sidewalk.
Cool.
Okay. And that's also going to be provided lower so that people can get to the park safely as well.
Ellen has a question.
Oh,
And then also the other exit from that lower parking lot is no longer, right?
Correct.
That's
You won't be able
correct.
to get out.
We
to
are
Winthrop.
eliminating that.
So there's only
additional-
one way in and out.
It's sort of on the crest of the hill, and so this will be nice and safe.
Okay.
And I do have one more image of the site plan that I wanted to share. This will be, this is the proposed lot line swap. And so this is going to go to your city planner as soon as the survey is complete. But what we've done, because the front lot line, the building needs to be 25 feet from the property line. What's been suggested and approved administratively by your city planner is that if we increase the location or shift the location of the property line between the school property and the city property, if we do an equal land swap and give the city this pink parcel of land, then there will not need to be any kind of exchange of property financially or.
Plus, we're gonna let them use the pre-K playground after hours.
Correct. So there is going to be a brand new playground here. And so we're going to provide a sidewalk access and then allow the public to use that, just not during school hours. Good idea. I'm going to go back
Paul has
to,
a question.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, just number one, this seems to me a much cleaner present use of that land than what I saw the last time. You know, it seems to me much improved,
Good.
just in terms of the overall layout and design. The only question was, again, the overlap, the soccer field, and I guess that's JV baseball, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those will never overlap in terms of schedule, in terms of usage at
Fall
all.
and spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right,
Just making
right.
sure.
Yes, and this
Well,
has
it wasn't
been
even
vetted.
scheduling. I was just worried that if there was, even on off days, just the condition of the field and that part of the outfield, would that be a problem? But if they're never gonna bang against each
I
other.
mean,
it's not an issue.
if a fall baseball team uses it, potentially, but not school teams.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Just a quick question, spectators around maybe the tennis courts,
Mhm.
where are they standing? What are the views? Like that top right one, for example, would they be on the?
So again, I think because this is primarily going to be a soccer field, that is a fall sport, that spectators could certainly have a good view from this side.
Correct.
But this is an accessible path, so intentionally ADA accessible and hard surface, so wheelchair accessible. So that will also provide some nice view angles, although from the, only one side, so.
Right.
Right.
Right now, the parents
Also here, though,
gravitate, the parents just gravitate towards where their kid is playing
Yeah.
and just hang out at the fence.
And the varsity softball, I noticed that bleachers are gonna be removed. Oh, varsity baseball, I mean, sorry. So again, is that just kind of standing along wherever?
that is there standing room? There is room for people to bring their own chairs
Yeah.
as
Okay.
And
I know I
think-
did as a soccer
I
mom,
think
but
Mike said they had some portables.
they have some portables, so he
Move
can
from
use
spot
a
to
small
spot.
trailer. Well, the portables are a trailer actually, so he can attach them to a small vehicle and place them spring season at that particular spot or fall maybe along here, or here to watch soccer.
Thanks. Are there fences around the fields?
There are fences, yes. So the varsity fields both requested home run fences.
Mhm.
So those will have a fence along here and along here. This field does not, and this field does not. There will, of course, be tall fences around the tennis courts. And then there's a fence for security and also for safety for people not to come out onto the road and walls not to go out onto the road along here and along this line, and it ends about at this, there's a stair that gets you from the parking lot to the fields level. And then there's a retaining wall here. So yes, there are fences, some for security for the school and some for safety and capturing balls. And then just to point out, and Julia reminded me of this, entrances around the building. When students are dropped off by bus, administratively, and this is something that will be decided and can change if the school decides, but we're expecting that high school students will use this main entrance to the gymnasium area because they gather at the cafeteria at the beginning of the school day. And so this is a nice quick route to the cafeteria, which is in this area. Middle schoolers will use, this is the middle school wing, they will use the entrance right here, and they will go directly to their classrooms because that's what their system is on their day-to-day. Parent drop-off, similarly, the middle school students will use this same vestibule and go to their classrooms. High schoolers will be able to use this main entrance and then come down the main corridor to the cafeteria. So that's student entry in the beginning of the day. There is an entrance here, right here, actually. Sorry. It's hard to see on this, but there's a little dark spot here. This is where the main entrance would be for central office, which, as you know, is on the 4th floor of the high school wing. As you enter there, there's a vestibule that will be locked. And then you have access to a stair or an elevator at that point. Card reader access or buzz-in. And then at this door, there's access to the pre-K program. They have their own parking area as well. So parents who are dropping off for preschool can have some parking right next to that door and enter there and also have dismissal for their 3 and 4-year-olds there. And then around the back of the building is where the loading dock is. This fits in nicely with the kitchen design and also access to straight access through a corridor to the stage if needed.
Also, when we met, the fire chief was there, so they have
Fire access.
fire entrance around with their big machines,
Mhm.
so they're okay.
Right, so this number 4 really represents a fire lane. We don't expect any traffic there on a day-to-day basis, but that'll be just the fire lane. So you have all of the floor plans in your packet.
They have it all.
I don't think I need to run through, the lower level has not changed.
I think you
It
just run
has-
through the
Little bits, but not a
next
lot.
floor.
I'll go right to the main floor. We have had a lot of conversations since the last meeting about access for the middle schoolers to the cafeteria. And keeping the population separate as mentioned earlier. And so I'm gonna go to the next slide where I have a zoomed in version of this area for you. So difference from the last time, I think in the past we had the kitchen and we had a servery that was shared. And we were talking about the schedule of the students with, and the schedule of the school would determine who was in the servery at what time. But what we've done now is create the center area for the servery. And the servery will have access from this side for the high school students who will be sitting in this area. And it will have access from this side for the middle school students who will be sitting in this area. In the middle, the kitchen staff will be there, but there will be like a U shape on each side. U shape here for the middle school students to get their food, and a U shape here for the high school students to get their food, and they won't be able to cross.
The reason why we don't have that drawing, because we just decided on it.
Yesterday. Yeah, right, so
And
we had,
Amy is really good, but
we had 3 versions of the kitchen plan, and this is the
both
one that we.
principals were there yesterday, and we discussed it with the schedule, with the hours have to stay the same because you can't move the schedule for the middle school, high school, and
Right.
so option 3 was the best way.
Because they will be sharing some spaces, it's important to be able to have the middle school and high school have the same schedule. I think it's still in progress, a work in progress at this point, and we don't have to decide for a few years. But this gives the schools the ability to have 3 waves of lunch at the same time and still manage all of the students in their separate areas. And so this is reading a little dark. This will actually not be a wall necessarily between the kitchen and the servery. I think we talked yesterday with Becky Terrell from Ed Advance, and she really thought that it would be a nice idea to have an openness here. Kind of cool these days for students to be able to see people cooking and smell, and see something. There's the pizza oven. That's where my pizza came from. It's nice and fresh. But also it allows the staff to quickly move from kitchen to servery and to keep restocking those stations for the students to pick up. And so I think that this will evolve and you'll be able to see the floor plan a little better. We did put the hand-drawn sketch in here, but it doesn't read well on the screen. So then the next thing I want to point out is that you'll see this element in the middle school. That's a stair. That is a switchback stair. And what we've done is we've provided this stair that just goes from 2nd floor to 1st floor. It's not continuous through the whole building. But what it does is, this is a little piece of the 2nd floor here. Coming down the 2nd floor where all of the academic classrooms are, or if you're on the 3rd floor, you might come out this stair and down onto the 2nd floor, across a new balcony overlooking the 2-story volume of the dining area for the middle school. And so this balcony or view into the middle school cafeteria will also provide a stair. Someone would come down and back, and then only middle schoolers would be using that, of course, because this is the middle school wing, and they come down into the dining hall right there. So there's no need for the middle school students to ever really go across this area to get to the dining hall. And so that's a point of concern from the last meeting that I think we've solved.
In the gym as well, right?
Yes, so thank you. They can also use the same stair to access the gymnasium, which is just off, it's really, adjacent to the middle school dining area. So there's a door here and there's a door at this end. And so they'll be able to use these doors to access the middle school gym as well.
What's the closest elevator for a child that's disabled?
Sure, right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I'm guessing parents will definitely ask this. Emergency egress, this plan will allow for complete isolation, separation.
Absolutely. Oh, for separation of the students?
You don't have.
When they get
70
outside,
kids running over.
I can't control
Living
what
room.
happens outdoors, of course, but so they will have plenty of egress capacity to leave directly from here to get out here, from the gym to get out here. Now, if they're in this
Discreet, right?
gym and they go across to the other, I really have to leave that up to the administration right now. We haven't discussed fire.
We
fire drills,
practice.
but safety,
It comes a
but
little bit later, as we'll be working with the fire marshal, but
yeah.
then we'll practice.
Yeah, we practice drills all the time and the kids know exactly where to go to follow their teacher. Yeah.
So, for the most part, there are 3 fire exit stairs in the high school and 2 fire exit stairs in the middle school. And I would suspect that that's where the main exit will be. When they are in the auditorium, the middle school chorus uses the stage at one time of the day. The high school chorus uses the stage at a different time of the day. If a fire drill happened to occur or a fire emergency occurred, when one or the other was in that auditorium, they would exit out into the courtyard. And we have egress doors here and here, both from the high school side and the middle school side. So from the band room, if the high schoolers are using the band room, they would use this. I don't know how the scheduling will work out if high schoolers are in the band room at the same time as middle schoolers are in the chorus room.
So we just have to remember during fire drills, every single person is evacuating, so every single student has an adult with them because they're all leaving at the same time. So their teacher is leaving with them, is supervising them, and is responsible for every single child in their class. So like Robin was saying, we practice it routinely, and so then students know exactly where to go. At
I
various
mean, I
points.
understand that, and I know, I assume that.
Yep.
My only concern was, again, we're mixing 2 very different age groups here, and I'm wondering if that presents an additional complication.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I used to work at Region 7 through 12. There was a big area in between middle school and the high school that was open, was not staffed at all.
Okay.
Kids would go from, middle school kids would go to the high school for classes, and high school kids would come and go to the main office.
Paul,
Never
you're
an
speaking
issue.
specifically during the fire drills?
Yeah,
Or a
I
real
mean,
emergency?
where there's a tendency to panic, my
No,
concern.
It's not an issue.
Okay.
Thank God.
We've done for many,
I
many
think
years.
to Sue's point, the good news is that every single teacher's out there as well.
Right,
Yeah.
and they get used to it.
Kids can do pretty well. I was a teacher, so I had my kids, I had different kids because I was in the library, so I had different kids all the time, but they complied.
Yeah.
We would
regardless of
even,
what time of
we would
day.
even, sometimes we would hold somebody back to see if the kids noticed who was missing. So they're busy being, conforming to the rules, which was good.
Right.
So there have been finesses in the plan in addition to that major change, but I think in the last month, that's the one change that was really a hot discussion item. And then also led us to be able to work with the food service director, which was great. Tomorrow we have a meeting with the auditorium staff and our theater consultant, our acoustic consultant, our AV consultant, and our lighting consultant. So we'll be talking about how the theater runs tomorrow. And so that will take a discussion about this area. But there's been a lot of development in that area as well.
I have a question about that quarter that's, that the 2 lunchrooms are there and there's that quarter. Are there
Sure.
walls?
There is a wall and a
Not
and a
there,
pair
I
of
mean,
doors.
this way.
In the middle or?
Yeah, that's a wall.
Explain
This
the-
way.
Running up and down the corridor,
Run up and down the corridor.
towards the
Oh,
gym.
this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
not for the high school side. That's gonna be more of a flow into that space, like a student union or like an open area and a food court, so to speak. And it also will provide some nice pre-event space for the auditorium because you'll be able to have tables and chairs accessible in this area. The middle school side, there is a glass wall that will have translucent glass. So natural light can pass, but it's obscure.
Not a half wall, a full wall.
Full wall. Any other questions about that area? So then as you get higher in the building, obviously middle school and high school are fully separate. And this Media center, library media center on the third floor of each building, facing or above the main entrance. And central office is at the end above the main entrance on the fourth floor. And the high school on the fourth floor is really contained from this fire exit stair to that fire exit stair. And the third faculty members there. Julia's going to share her screen. We're going to take a look at the exterior design at this point and talk about the fenestration. I do want to point out to you that we've also had our energy modeling consultants work with us. So you might remember that during the value engineering at the end of schematic design, there was some discussion about square footage of windows, and there was a reduction in the square footage of windows for the building. So we've been working toward that goal for the, to align the budget correctly. And we've also been working with the energy modeler and looking at daylight studies. And I can share those with you at the end if you'd like. But what we're trying to do is have a proper amount of daylight so that you can, first of all, it's just the right thing to do at classrooms and all spaces to have natural light, but also no glare. So we want to minimize the hours of the day when there's a disturbing glare too much by using tinted windows and reducing some glazing. We've gone from about 40% window to wall ratio to 35% in many areas in order to do that by kind of raising the sill, lowering the head, and playing with the right location for the windows. So it's interesting, and we have good data on when the sun is hitting every window, as the energy consultant has helped us with that. But what that just means is Julia met with the glazing vendor yesterday to talk about what type of glass in each space.
So as Amy said, as we are developing design further, we are incorporating everything that we learned about energy modeling, about daylight and study. And I would like to show this overview of the entire complex, so you can just see how we'll feel.
Do I need to unshare for her to share? Just go ahead.
Can you share? There's a little thing on top that's optimized for video. Just check that. Otherwise, we'll be skipping.
So go to the. Share screen while other participants.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
It's yours, it's not.
Stop sharing.
Nice job. A lot of time.
So the school is really designed as a campus. You're looking now at entrance to the central office and high school wing.
Excuse me, can you talk a little louder?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm
I'm sorry, it's hard with the mask.
Designed as a campus, so you can see the high school wing on the left side and the middle school wing on the right side, and with the auditorium in a middle, but has this feel of the campus complex. Now we are going around with the school bus loop alongside the middle school, and bus drop-off and pickup towards the entrance to the gymnasium. This will be community entrance for after-school activity. So it will be really much more welcoming than what you have today. We are providing a lot of daylight and use in every classroom, in every space. So existing gym will be clad in a new materials, and I brought some of them here to share with you. We are still developing this facade. This area would be fitness, athletic director, corridor between a gymnasium, clear story that will bring daylight in a gymnasium, and clear story also that brings daylight to the middle school gym, loading dock that Amy was pointing out, and the receiving area. This would be a kitchen, and we're going towards cafeteria, and this would be this fire lane that we were mentioning. So high school cafeteria, teachers dining. We would like to provide little balcony for outdoor eating. Stair tower, this is the science wing here with the greenhouse that is adjacent to the science lab. It has plenty of daylight on the top. And lower level, we will have a preschool area and art room so they can get outside on the ground floor. So we are still designing and articulating the windows and trims, providing the shades where they needed. And just developing design further. So in shape of the building, I also want to point to this, like we were constricted a very small site between the existing school and the pond. So we building 4 really is informed by this site, by desire to renovate the gym because of the budget issues, and also your desire to separate middle school wing from the high school wing. We also know that traditionally you have very strong performing arts department. So we wanted to place the auditorium in the center to be this focal point that you can have performances inside, but also that you can have outdoor performances in this courtyard that it's actually open. So that just that's where we are at this point of the design.
And I do have the still images and a couple extra than what you have on your handouts. I noticed that the handouts, the color might be a little bit different than what we're showing on the screen. Every screen shows things differently. And so that's why we actually brought some of the materials today to review. So if you stop sharing, I'll go to the stills and then we can talk about the materials. But we thought it was great that the animation, could be shared today and hopefully give you a sense of what it will feel like on the site.
Beautiful. Very exciting.
It's very large building, so I think it's really helpful that we are separating one school from the other. And so it doesn't feel so, it feels like.
Will there be, I'm sure there will be signs at some point pointing, right? The center public entrance doesn't have any marking on the building per se. Is that something that would be beneficial or?
Yeah, put a sign as a gymnasium or.
Here. This is the entry. So we
Right, is there, other than signage that might be in a parking lot or at a road juncture? And Big T, the Big T is nice there. I don't know if it's actually gonna be on the building or not, but is there something that can identify that as the auditorium, theater, gym area?
Sure, we'll talk with the school administration about exactly what you want to call that. It could be public entrance, it could be assembly wing, it could be event entrance, or it could simply say gymnasium, or it could simply, theater. So certainly we will work with you.
You can say performing arts.
Yeah, performing arts and athletics. I don't know how much we can fit running across the top there, but we'll come up with options that you can review. I'm gonna point out this one, which is an image that you don't have because we just took it from the animation, kind of a bird's eye view. And here you can see the auditorium and it's kind of outstretching toward the courtyard. Originally, it had a domed roof in schematic design, you might remember that. When we've been working with our theater consultant, we learned the height that we need at the stage as compared to anywhere else. And so it actually kind of forced us to have a taller roof at the stage area so that the rigging and the necessary smoke vents and all of that can fit above the stage. So that's why the roof form is changing and evolving, again, as we work with our expert consultants.
That might help with acoustics as well. It might help with acoustics as well.
Sure. And we do have an acoustic consultant working with us for that space as well. So he's really helped us with some diagonal batten walls within the auditorium to reflect sound and in the ceiling plane as well. So anyway, thought this was a nice view. You can also see beyond some clear story windows that allow natural light down into the two-story volume of the dining areas. So even though that middle school dining hall doesn't have access to an exterior wall, it will have natural light coming from above.
I don't know if this is the place to ask this question, but I know we talked about a playground for the preschool. That's all fenced in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a code, first off, it's a code element anyway, but yes, it would be fenced in because we also want to make sure that they're away from the cars.
Yeah, from the cars, and then I don't, with the pond, I mean, I know.
And the
Swimming pools.
Sure, and the pond too,
fences, swimming
yeah.
pool.
Yeah, some towns have different requirements. We have a 6 feet fence in Waterbury. So
4
for
foot fence, 4 foot is actually the
norm.
normal code value, but again, yeah, like as Julia was pointing out, some cities will ask for taller. Any other questions about the renderings, the animation? Do you want to take a look at, come up and or should we pass around some of those materials? I think, Julia, you have a couple of options that you wanted to
Yes, we
discuss.
were looking, we are narrowing down materials. So as you saw, the major one field material is a brick. And we were trying really to find a little bit redder brick, more rich red than what you see in the renderings. And so I have several samples if you want to look at it. We are also looking for the wood accent in a certain area to warm up the palette. So these are just some combinations of the material that we have. These are sidings that we are looking for the gymnasium wing. And for a lower portion, we try to use a glazed brick, but that might be difficult. So we're looking now in a polished concrete block.
Julia, could you just stand at the end so that everybody can see, because you have the back?
I'm sorry?
Can you just stand at the end of the table so everybody can see what you're pointing to?
Oh.
Does it move?
Yeah,
Does
It does move, yeah.
Well, I just have a few samples of the brick of different color and a few different wood grains, which is actually a pressure laminate panel and some cementitious panel as a cladding. So we would like to keep material palette simple because building already has a form itself that it's exciting enough. So with the keeping just a similar material so that everything will look coherent. And we are playing with the cooler tones and warmer tones of the brick and wood. So this is where we are at the moment, and we will just like refine it as we go.
A couple of questions. Which material are you calling out for, like on the face of the middle school building? It looks like it has some,
It will be like a GFRC,
okay, 'cause
similar.
this one looks like it has some characteristics to it, but it's actually smooth, right?
It can be smooth or profile,
Oh, I see.
like
it.
because these are the same material.
Yeah, yeah, and these are installed on like a Durac panel or a,
That is the outside facade. That is a cementitious panel itself. And it's solid color all the way through, which is really,
Yep.
you know, it's just super durable.
And has metal channels like suppression that.
Yeah, like a hi-hat channel.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is gonna be on the outside of the gym, right? Where the kids exit the locker room,
Mhm.
because they're notorious for smashing balls off of the wall, you know?
Oh.
And so that'll stand up to that.
Concrete should stand up to it, yeah.
In that
Yeah.
case, it might go a little lighter, so we don't see ball marks, you know?
Maybe not white.
Not so white.
Not that way.
Somewhere in between, maybe the lighter
The
gray then.
silver one,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, silver with some maroon,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
characteristics,
Yeah.
trims and things like that would be nice. Okay, the other thing, I forgot what the heck it was, but well, I'll go to one that I do remember. Where do you see, Amy, the main entryway to the athletic complex? At the top of where that handicap ramp is, that
Mm.
goes up
To the outside,
to that
yes,
landing area?
yes, that is where I see it. Yep.
Okay, and are you planning to do something there? You know, kind of like, something that says you're here, like we have now?
Yes, so we can relocate what you have now. Rebuild.
Right.
Relocate the signage part of it.
Right.
And I think, you know, we can talk about, you have some, I think you have flags here at the end.
Yes,
You know, is it worthwhile to put a flag here?
Amy,
Kind
the
of
flags are
arrival.
right where that little bump out is, the pavement, go down, straight down. That
Oh.
bump out right there, that's where the flags are,
Right, at the end
Yeah.
zone
and the scoreboard as well.
and a scoreboard.
Yeah.
So we talked about putting power here for scoreboards, well, putting in a scoreboard for varsity softball, putting power to this location for varsity baseball to have a future scoreboard if they end up playing their home games there. But this area, I could see having a nice spot for another flag
Or a scoreboard, yeah.
or scoreboard, but I think right here as you arrive, this is you're gonna see a lot of people gathering in that location.
Yeah, and they're gonna need a place to take money and sell tickets.
Mhm.
Because they're gonna definitely wanna channel everybody in one way. Right now, it's like
Come in
Field of
here.
Dreams, people come out of the cornfield up there and try to sneak in the game.
Well, now there will be a fence all along
Right.
this line, so.
It's amazing what people will do not to pay $5. Is it possible, or, well, I know it's possible, is it costly to do like where you have electricity out there to do like a panic button? You know, like similar to what they have on college campuses, if there's an emergency, we had an umpire literally drop dead up there
Oh,
a
gosh.
few years back. One of the players' moms was an ICU nurse and saved her because it's hard to, you know, we don't always have the walkies. If we have to count on the trainer to get there,
Mhm.
you know, if you could just hit a panic button.
I think that's a great idea. There's no reason why we couldn't do that. We are gonna be running the power for the access control all the way to this location for
Yeah.
the gate anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, anywhere between the building and here is, we could certainly add one of those
Yeah, and-
panic devices.
And we talked about last week, you and I, as I was sitting in the middle of a thunderstorm, a lightning detection system, is that costly?
I forgot to look up the cost of that, but it was in our value engineering list.
Okay.
I'm looking at Dave.
Well, no, it wasn't, it was deleting lightning detection from the building,
Oh,
but you're talking about a lightning
yeah, well,
detection
it
system. that-
detects and a horn
Ahead of-
blows.
Right. Yeah, that's a that would be a standalone type of.
It's usually mounted
system
on,
with- Right, with its own.
on top of the
cages
roof.
or its- yeah.
right. I don't know much about it, other than it's a good thing.
How about cameras throughout the athletic fields?
You have it in law.
Not the high school.
I mean, if you have a panic button, not just,
Yeah, yeah.
somebody's gonna be hitting a panic button, somebody's gonna look, or if that somebody's just gonna
I
activate it.
understand, but it takes the
In
liability.
the absence of an emergency, you wanna be able to identify.
Cameras are always good,
Yeah.
like if there's ever a fight out there, anything that, you know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
good to have.
Mario,
Wow.
good rule of thumb is if you can hear thunder, you can get struck no matter.
No, I know, I got my little lightning detection system here, but,
Just saying.
you know, it's,
The hair goes up on your
Experience.
head.
right, if we can, if we could afford it without cutting anything else. would be
We
good
will
to
look
have.
into that for
Yeah,
sure.
that's all.
And as far as cameras go, we will have a number of building mounted cameras.
Okay.
And we typically have some light post mounted or separately mounted cameras on the parking areas, on the entry and the exit in particular. So we'll have to look at how many can be afforded and whether or not it's appropriate to put them on the fields. But certainly there will be security camera coverage here at the campus. And we were just talking about pedestrian scale lighting. ADA requires us to provide pedestrian lighting along the paths leading to a location that has nighttime games. So you have pedestrian scale lighting that currently brings you up to, you know, this location from the other side of the field where you enter now. So we would certainly have appropriate pedestrian scale lighting in this area leading you to this field. And we'll have to talk about if it's appropriate, some amount of pedestrian lighting might have to get us all the way to these handicap accessible spaces if the public is parking there. So to your point about the security cameras, I think your fields will be better lit. Even beyond the location of the current football stadium, because we'll have to provide some of that for handicap accessible entry and exit to the field.
Would it be cheaper just to do a street lamp every 100 feet or so?
Well, we'll have like parking style lamps out in the parking lot. And so we'll have to have the lighting consultant take a look at how much of that bleeds this
Mhm.
way and how many pedestrian scale lights will be
Yep.
required.
So Amy, we have security grants that we apply for every year. So if we don't get everything, as long as we have power sources there, or we can hook into that.
Sure.
then If we make it available and it's accessible, then we can add to what we need.
So
We
we
don't
should
get
make sure that
everything.
it's a scalable
Right.
system. Yep,
So we can plan for that.
that's great news. Yes, so we'll keep that in mind as we move forward.
Cameras are good during the day also.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. But sometimes you want to make sure that they're useful
Yeah,
when you
right,
need
right,
them.
yeah.
So I'm wondering if we were to put cameras at some point in time, should we run a piece of fiber somewhere central to set up a wireless mesh to support those cameras?
I mean, that would probably be a more cost-effective way to be able to add cameras later, right?
So
So we should,
Put the
you
fiber
and I
in.
and Nick should talk about that. Okay,
An option for the lightning detection system, if you get the morning news, they always have Farmington High School, Litchfield High School. If you approach one of the news stations and see if they wanted to install, you know,
Oh.
a weather station
Yeah.
in Torrington, that would be
It's
state of the
spoken like
art.
an attorney.
And don't add the lightning detection system,
So that would be good.
yeah, because I'm sure they're looking for state of the art.
I know they want to do one up in Norfolk because it's,
And
all
what,
it snows up there.
are they ready?
Also could tie into the academics.
Certainly could.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a great idea. You're on it, Helen.
Yeah.
Thanks for volunteering.
Love to be voluntold.
Anything else you want to go over the the steel pre-dealing, detailing? You have anything yet on that or no?
I don't have a cost worked up for you, but I certainly will be happy to reiterate our desire to keep the schedule moving and to work with ONG to have steel pre-detailing done in advance of the bids going out. And that allows the steel manufacturers to provide the steel much more quickly to the site. And especially with the way that lead times have been increasing and construction materials are difficult to access at this point in time, and it's something that we think is a real benefit to the project. What you'll see is a fee request from SLAM to do the pre-detailing of the steel. And while it looks like an ad, it's hopefully and sometimes actually a savings to the project over time, because the subcontractor does not have to hire someone to do that steel pre-detailing. It's already done to the extent that we can do it. And then the only thing that the subcontractor has to hire for is if they are a weld shop or a bolt shop, or so the very final connections is the only thing that they'll end up having to detail once the bids are done. So you'll see a savings on the steel prices. Well, everyone will have the same information, so you won't really see it, but compared to other projects that don't do steel pre-detailing, you'll have a lower cost for the steel. So it should balance out in the end, but it's an advantage to the project because you'll end up getting the steel on site much more quickly.
We had something about upcoming schedule. I don't know if we.
I do. I actually have a slide for it too.
Okay.
Just went so far backwards. So I'm gonna put this online, as I always do, onto the website, so that you'll be able to read this small text. This gives you information about all of those materials that you see on the center table, and it talks about the qualities for those for insulation and warranty and other information that you might be looking for, specifics on those. And then I just wanted to let you know about, we've already talked about, we had our meeting yesterday with food service design. We will be having our meeting tomorrow for the auditorium and the stage design. And then in the next 2 weeks, I'll be setting up what we call room data meetings. That's where we talk about equipment, furniture, and casework built-ins that's going to go into each room so that we can make sure to populate the design development plans with the built-in casework for the design development documents that will go out in September. And so that'll be a series of meetings similar to the focus group meetings. We had 20 meetings at that time. And so I'm going to talk to the principals and the superintendents and find out if we can group some of those. For example, all of the academic classes will probably have a very similar amount of cabinetry, and teaching wall will be the same regardless of whether you're in a social studies class or a math class or English. So I think we'll be able to group a few of those meetings and not have quite so many, but we will have quite a few meetings to get through in the next 2 weeks to inform those documents. And then by the end of next week.
Well, I just wanted to design, sort of the exterior design. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a comment, and I'm probably gonna hear the term value engineering, and that'll end the discussion. And I will leave it there. But, you know, you've really done such a beautiful job, like with the Torrington Middle School front, with the way you've articulated, you know, you've cut in and you get all those really nice lighting effects. When I saw what I think is maybe the north side of the middle school building, which is just that straight run,
Mhm.
it's, it's not of a piece with that. Is there anything you can do to articulate that?
Yes, that's what we are working on. Right now, it's very long building and straightforward, but we need to break it with the verticals and make
Okay.
it more interesting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It was beginning to look a little new grit. And then
Yes.
I was hoping-
That's
Thank you.
exactly
Well
what we were talking about.
This is a long run.
Yes.
How long is that? From one end to the other?
I think it's less than 300 feet, but we have a stairs
Oh,
and
nice.
verticals, and we will break it in with the fenestration. We are already looking in the variation of this.
Okay, this is really
This
nice.
is good enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, you have every meeting, you'll get a analysis of payments. You have is the only thing I left out was the check number. So you have the check number. Just so you know, the city has worked with us to approve all the payments. I handed to them on Friday, and by a week on Friday, the checks are ready and we send them out. So they've been very helpful. Alice and the staff, and Brenda down there. So I just want to give them a shout out because they've been very good for us. You know, again, in our contract with ONG, once the bills are approved, they have, ONG has, and they get paid. ONG has 15 days to get checks out to subcontractors. Usually it's, when I was doing some other projects, they get paid 7 days, but this, it's right on. So, no problem. Yeah.
Is that the Torrington?
No, Pullman and Conley is the city's bond council. So there'll be a couple of bills from them on doing the bonds. Next, if I can have approval, if you can do it all at once, or you want to do separately. Let me just go over them. We have a SLAM's bill for $395,750. We have ONG's bill of $120,723.05. They're all attached. Construction Solutions of $19,534.40. And Innovative Engineering, which is our commissioning agent, of $960. Is it okay that we approve all of them at once? Is that okay? Can I have a motion to approve all at once? Norman, second, Pat. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Just going over, we had a meeting with the mayor. Their finance guy, Bill Lindsay, myself, Mario, Sue L. Alice was there, the mayor was there. Sandra Dawson was on the line, she's the bond counsel. Dan Farley was there, the treasurer. Ray Drew was there, and Paul, who's the engineer, was there. Just so you know, the band's bank anticipation notes are running 0.09% to 0.32%.
Wow.
Okay, so that's
Very cheap.
cheap money.
Wow.
And the bonds for the last 6 months were running 1.54% to 1.74%. So they look like they're gonna go out for bands in October. So we'll see what happens, but really, remember, we're getting 85%, so an estimate of what our share is, because there may be ineligible costs and so forth, is only $40 million versus the $74 million that was appropriated. Plus, when Bill did his analysis, that was in May of 2020, he had over 3% for bonds, and he had over 2% for bands. So there's another savings, we hope, for that. So just want to let you know, we met, and ONG was, they asked for a cash flow and ONG has given us the cash flow, and we're sending it to, I'm dropping it off to the mayor tomorrow with, I always give the mayor anything that we have that is color and all that, I drop it off to her tomorrow. So we have that. The next thing, just to let you know, Torrington Water, Torrington Water has to do a hydrant test. Make sure the hydrants, somebody can,
It's a flow test.
flow test.
So that we know the water pressure to the building and we know whether or not we need a fire pump.
Okay.
For
So
the
they're doing
sprinkler
it, they're gonna, and I can't get a check right away for them. It was $578.54. Slam is gonna pay them. We'll have both bills and we'll take it out of our allowance, which we have in our budget for that. So I just want to let you know, we'll be reimbursing Slam for that. The last thing, these are draft. Sorry.
You haven't slowed down printing since you retired.
Don't we have ones and zeros for that kind of stuff?
These are draft
Not
and specs. These are the ones that we, with all the meetings and so forth, we had to update them. So this is draft. It's still in the motion of finishing up. Hopefully we'll finish them up, oh, I'm sorry, by next week, because we have to have the board approve them. So I know. That- Because the color was not working, but I'll have a color. Somehow the computer wasn't working on color. So does everybody have one?
Okay.
No, I don't. I go to midget, but it's,
There you
the
go.
problem is I couldn't. So, but we'll have a color for the board. So I just want to let you know that's done. So once we set the date for the state, we go up with them and look at that. And also they give us, we see their, not design development, their,
With this for our SDR, right?
Yes,
yes.
correct. So we need it approved by the Board of Ed first, then we'll have an SDR meeting with OSCGR,
Yeah.
all the letters. And that's when we present the schematic design package that you've all seen and approved months ago now, with the new approved Ed spec and the reconciled cost estimate from that time.
And we just have to make sure the SDR is done before we get to DDR.
That's
We
right.
have some time, but not,
Right.
not long.
Yes.
And if Ed is anticipating BOE approval next week, I was gonna go ahead because we'll have to schedule out, just so that it's passed. Like, you know, the middle of next week, probably the following.
Yeah.
I'll check with Angela.
Right. So we'll check with Angela at the state and set up a date.
Good.
Okay.
And you're gonna coordinate that.
Yeah, I'll just say that.
Can you stop and just translate? I got OSCGR. I missed the translation there of all your other acronyms.
Well, SDR
Is,
that's the schematic design review that
Thank you.
the OSCGR does.
yeah. What was the other acronym you used?
Just pick one.
Oh, there you go, the design.
Design
Design
development.
development.
That's
So we'll be having that one after October, so no need to worry about that one, but we have to have our schematic design review before the design development review.
We wanna make sure we get the Ed spec revisions, you know, to them.
Do that. So,
And get that approved before we move forward. I'm going to add the central offices
Right,
update also.
correct.
You know what, if I could get the Word document, I don't know if Ally, somebody was able to find the original in Word.
That's the one I sent you guys.
This is the main one, but Ed was saying the central office
Central office
one
is
is
a
a
separate one.
separate, should be a separate document.
Okay.
I'll look for it too and maybe send it to you, Al. Yeah, I'll have to find that. Somewhere in space.
Yes.
We have a PDF of it, and in Bluebeam, I can back the PDF out and make it into a Word doc if you need to. The only thing is, the formatting gets a little funky.
Yeah. It worked out beautifully with the Word. I don't know how, I think it was Ally that did it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and I'm not sure, I'll have to check, I'm not sure I even have the PDF.
Yeah, you can.
I see
We
that.
sent it to everybody, but
Yeah.
we'll check on it tomorrow.
I'll check.
Okay, comments for the good of the order. We'll start over here. Robin. Lynn, first, Lynn.
Yep.
Ally.
I'm good.
Good.
Also, thank you.
We'll even ask Jeff. You have anything, Jeff?
I'm good, besides the colors. It's very important to my 8-year-old. These colors
We're all
are very exciting.
colorblind, so
I
don't
did
worry
just point
about
out the soft color.
It says
and
soft
that
color. It's
I
not
have,
gonna fly.
I have a kid similar to an Emily. It's gonna be a big fail on those girls when they get to middle school.
Anything?
Just thank you to the redesign and the people that worked because for listening the last meeting and getting it right.
Many
Always
thanks to
evolving.
everyone. Much appreciated.
Anything else?
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Okay, next, my man.
Nothing.
Sue,
No, thank you.
Brian?
Nope.
No.
Everything's great. I'm glad we could answer Jeff's questions.
Great timing
Congratulations.
coming to this meeting.
Yes.
If you came last month, I wouldn't have. said-
Yeah, we would be so nice to you.
I'll come back, maybe.
Okay. Paul, anything?
No, just like piggybacking off the township, nice, really nice revision.
John?
Great, thank you.
John, anything?
Not tonight, thank you.
Okay, I'll have copies for you, so don't worry about
It
it.
looks like it's being retained somewhere.
And here's the owner.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we can look at these samples after the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're not in a rush. I'm out.
Okay, future meetings, next, in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, that's the first day of school.
Oh.
We just put it up, please, 1 week. Yeah, go
I know,
ahead.
I'm just,
The first day of school.
That's Labor Day the following week.
yeah.
Labor Day's the day, that's not.
Yeah.
No, well, that's.
Mario takes the whole week.
Right. I'll
He's-
start on Thursday.
Okay, so
My mistake.
first day of school is
The second.
The second.
the second. Okay, so, is that okay if we go to the week after,
Right?
the
Yes.
9th?
We don't have to do anything before that.
Anything?
No, I don't think,
That's the only thing.
there's no requirements from this committee before the SDR. Is that correct, Karen? So as long as we have the BOE approval of the ed spec, we're good to go? Okay.
Okay, so right now will be September 9th, 5 o'clock, same place, same time. Everything's the same, hopefully. God willing. Okay. Motion to adjourn. On second, Pat. Discussion, all in favor?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.